Thank you all for being here. Good afternoon. What a time to be alive. How strange is all of this? My Lord, do I really not want to be here right now? I'm not the most social guy, feeling a little bit awkward with all these faces here. I do want to be upfront about a few things right out of the gate. I know what my tendencies are, and I know how they can look at times. And those of you who have contacted me about it, I've never backed away from that, but I've always explained why it is. I think the other night, Tuesday night, you all are seeing why I am the way that I am, and you don't get to see everything that these folks are doing, that are behind the scenes, that are in rooms that have closed doors, that lead me to this. And I just want you all to know one thing. Every single day when I'm sitting up there, before I say something, do something, make a vote, I'm being put in a position where I have to either say nothing for the sake of decorum, for the sake of stability, and go home in shame, knowing in 30, 40, 50 years, looking back, that I could have done something and did not. Or I could speak my voice, go home and sleep, and just have people criticize me for maybe not keeping the stability. And I'm choosing the latter course every time. And that's just who I am. It's not a virtue or anything like that. I'm just biologically that way. So I wish it was just that I was that cool or that moral, but it's not. It's just how I am. One of the things I really want to do is I do not want this to be some episodic soap opera. I don't want this to be the next step in the drama. I want this to be, what are we doing now? How do we go forward? And I think the most important thing we have to get to, and this is why I'm always focused on the people. I envy all of you who were in government in the old days, the previous eras, where you could hash all this stuff out in a closed session. Maybe you all had a shared goal and we disagreed about where do we put our money for policies, what do we repair, what road gets paved. That is not how this works anymore. I think you all had a different caliber of person in the generations before mine, where you did have a shared goal and where you could work these things out, and maybe we just disagreed about the priorities, but we all wanted our community to do better. That's not the case. And for many years, Martinsville has been a stepping stone for bad people to advance their interests and their careers. They roll in here, take advantage of us, get a paycheck often, and disappear. And so that's part of it too that I really want to communicate to you all, is that I wish I lived in that era, but those days are not these days. I'm very sorry to say. It's a people problem. And I think we saw some of that last night. So what I want to do is, I don't want to rehash the distant past. And you all know this, Charles best. There's probably two things on earth you can't call me, and Lord knows you can call me a lot of bad things: dishonest and unprepared. I am neither of those, ever. We're going to talk about things that are factual, on the record, that you all can go see with your own eyeballs and make your own judgment calls about who these people are and what they're doing. I'm not going to persuade you. I'm not going to color it. There's not any innuendo. This is what happened, and you all can watch. So you guys will be very surprised to hear this. No media has gotten this yet. I knew Tuesday night was happening. That was no surprise to me. My friends in Alpha Kappa Alpha called me throughout the day leading up to the meeting, calling me saying that members from city administration were trying to stack this meeting to rouse a response out of me, to try and heckle over people who were going to disagree with them and basically disrupt the proceedings of city government. So I had tons of heads up about what these people were going to do. Thank you to the decent people of that sorority, also to some other members who reached out to me leading up through the day. Sorry?
I had warnings as well.
Okay. So I knew walking into this that I was walking into a trap, and I was like, fine, let these people do what they're going to do. But the level of coordination to remove an elected person from a city meeting was absolutely criminal, literally. It was unbelievable. It is an absolute civil rights violation, and I hate to tell you all, it's the most expensive. Civil rights violations are the most expensive, and everybody who knows me, I'm not the one. You don't want to pick that fight with me, because if I let that go, will anyone else ever stand back up? And that's exactly what these people want, is they want to try and make a statement. They want to try to deter people. They want to try and turn people away from our government. Notice that no one thought about removing me until I started criticizing pay raises for executives. That was the thing that got me removed. So I really want to go through just just how coordinated this was, because I think Sheriff Draper really needs to know this. And I just want to say for the record, Sheriff Draper has always been decent to me. And sheriffs are among the most powerful people in Virginia. Sheriff Draper could be an absolute monster and has always, in my opinion, served with as much restraint as someone with that much power could ever do, no matter what anybody thinks about any other decisions made. So, but he's got a problem on his hands.
So he already knows about it, Jeff.
Okay, so let's walk through this sequentially, though. So we knew coming into the meeting that we stacked it, particularly with some really ugly people in the back who were heckling people, talking over people, passing out flyers. So I walk in, knowing I'm walking into a trap. I get stopped by a citizen who shows me a flyer. We pre-planned the printing of a bunch of flyers to hand out that were gross, cowardly, they weren't signed, and they didn't say who they were attacking, but they were attacking me. And the wildest thing is, a lot of people thought they were referring to the mayor. They were things the mayor had been doing to people. L.C. Jones going on social media, lying about people, attacking people where other people can't participate in the discourse, can't even have the decency to talk to them face to face, just to launch a preemptive nuke politically for his own personal gain.
And referred to you as a racist on social media without evidence as an attempt to steer an election.
Thanks for interrupting. Okay. So
needed to be said
Yep.
once and for all.
So there was a great deal of confusion about who was even being talked about. So we had flyers ready to go. I don't know if you all noticed this. The city manager, the mayor, other members of council, and certain staff all wore matching coordinated outfits as like some display of
All black?
unity. Yes, it was the black on black.
Black ties.
Right.
So, they really put a lot of thought into this, which when you kind of reflect on it, it's kind of pathetic what they thought they were doing and how it turned out. So one of the things that you all wouldn't know, a little bit technical, they did something, they manipulated a meeting through agenda stacking. So what they try to do is like stack all these things where you can do nothing but clap, so that when it gets time to talk about the real business, they feel like that they've got the energy and you're going to be scared to talk about what really matters. They try to turn a room against you. So they stack the agenda. Throughout the meeting, as we had these people heckling, talking over citizens, talking over me, Mayor never once gavelled them out of order. So he was very content and very happy to see people getting disrupted, having their voice taken away, as long as it suited his purpose and the city manager's purpose. Then finally, the most important thing, and the thing that's really going to cost this city, when I was removed, I was not removed by the mayor. I was removed by the city manager, my employee, our employee.
Yep.
And as an evidence of just how manipulative this was and how coordinated this was, the city manager did this with a nod of her head.
And a wave of her arm.
What deputy out there who's not in on the scheme is sitting there thinking, when they see the nod of a head, that must mean I need to go remove an elected official from the dais? If you do not have the character, the morals, or the poise to wear the badge, take it off. Even worse, when I told this woman there was no authority to remove me, by the way.
None.
Even worse, she doesn't even know the law with a badge. Even worse, when I told her she should be ashamed of herself, she said, I'm just doing my job. When in history has that ever been the right response to doing something wrong? How despicable. What a despicable person. I would forgive her if she got caught in the moment. I have seen officers who I've been close with do things they shouldn't have done, but they did it in the moment. It's the fact that she knew. She was happy to do it. I have multiple people, and I thank you. I see some of you all who were there who have already agreed to testify that she was engaged in the politics. She was cheering. She was emoting. Now, and I'm still not even done. This woman put her hands on me.
Several times.
That's a big problem. Was incredibly rude. Incredibly rude to an elected official, put her hands on me. But then it keeps going, doesn't it? People in the back who were called in by the city administration to come stack this meeting and heckle and disrupt were like, it worked. It worked. We got him quiet.
I heard it.
And I thank all of you who are willing to testify to that.
I was sitting in that crowd.
Thank you. So we have an idea of what's going on. You can all go see this. I think we now understand the nature of these people. So yeah, I have been harsh at times, but I'll tell you one thing. Anytime I have ever gone to discuss these things, I have talked policy, record, things you can go look up in the paper, things you can see on city council minutes, in our videos. I have never done he said, she said. I have never done an allegation that I can't bring a piece of paper to. Charles, how many times have I come to your show with a stack of documents to prove every single word I have ever said? And I have to say this to you all sometimes when I get critiques about being critical of public officials. Hello, it's a public role. The entire premise of an election is to put someone's record out there against yours and may the best person who's going to serve the people win. Nobody else, everyone else is attacking people based on these character assassination deals. So one of the things the mayor did was, if you all don't know, and I've intentionally never mentioned it publicly, I do have a biracial family. I do not, Lacey is not allowed to come to council meetings. She has asked to come support me, and I've said I don't want her or my baby around this ugliness. I do not want that. I made her come Tuesday night. It was the one night she could not come of all nights, and she loves me way more than I deserve. She's been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. The story that we are living now is not the story we started with. This was earned, and it was earned mostly by her. It has broken her heart. It has crushed her. Not all the craziness, that I won't go away from this, that she thinks I'm valuing this over her, that she sees that she thinks I'm ruining and throwing away my life for this. So I made her come to the meeting Tuesday night. And I said, I'm not going to introduce you. I don't want you on the spot. I want you to see what we're fighting for, so you know why I have to do this. The text stopped immediately. She now knows what this is about. These are bad people, and if the people who are in office are not going to step up and do something about it, we got to get out of the way. So that is why I am harsh when people do bad things. And I typically only do it when we're trying to steal from citizens, or we know we're lying about our role in really bad things. So where do we go from here? We all want to talk about the future. We want to talk about the root problem. It is a people problem. Our policies aren't wrong. Our procedures aren't wrong. The nature of our government isn't wrong. It's a people problem. The mayor of your city lying about people, I do have to say, for the record, I asked historians and journalists, to the best of anyone's knowledge, the only sitting mayor in Martinsville history to be the subject of a press release for lying is L.C. Jones from a local organization, which unfortunately, it's not funny because that's our Main Street organization, which reports up through the Department of Housing and Community Development, which is one of the primary organizations that we need for money. So now they know that our city government's not trusted and our ceremonial mayor cannot be trusted. That's not a good position for us to be in. Not to mention, when you lie about these people take it personally because they're part of the organization and they were stewards, and they are not lying and they are trying to do the right thing. We have state employees, we have elected state officials, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have really serious, good community-oriented people in these groups. It's not a good idea to lie about them. It's very disruptive to this community. And here's the most important thing. Julian, don't cry.
I don't have any pearls to clutch, Aaron. Hold on.
If we do not stand up and say something when bad people lie about decent people, how are we ever going to get decent people into office? What really set me off in all of this stuff is the lie about Julian leaking information out of closed session, because these folks were mad they got caught trying to raise executive pay without any of you knowing about it. Yep. No one could have possibly known what they were trying to do.
There were other things said.
Well, let's come back to that. I found out from local media who received information from the city clerk about what happened in this media, and it didn't make sense. And I contacted the clerk and said, "Clerk, can I see the minutes that you have put together on this situation?" And I saw them immediately and saw that we had a problem on our hands. I saw that we were trying to give away citizen money to someone who frankly has not earned it in a time when we're raising your taxes. You have been paying double your usual utility bills, if not more. Like, how tone deaf and cruel can we be to be talking about paying ourselves? And then, okay, if you're going to do it, fine, it's wrong. At least have the decency to come out and own it. And that's the thing that's really driving me insane about these people, is like, they want to do all the bad stuff and they really, really, really don't want you to know about it. If you want to do a bad thing, just come out and freaking own it, and I will shut up. I'll say my little piece. I'll vote against it, but it's not going to be this. We're not going to have to do this about it. So, in this thing, why it's so important to protect someone like Julian. If we know Julian, the brightest bright spots of Julian is like a supernova. But this is the most important thing of everything that this guy does brings prestige, excitement, interest, money to our community. We have to go back to probably Barry Dorsey to find someone who has done as much to grow this community as Julian May. But what makes him special is his lows, his darks are darker than anyone's. And this is why he's so powerful. Anyone who has to wrestle with this, and I can relate to this because I have my own dark tendencies, who chooses to fight through that and not take the lazy way out and let the good thing win, no matter how many nights it keeps you up, no matter how painful it is, no matter who lies about you in public, and always lets the good side of them win, is worthy of respect, and that's who we need in these positions.
Yes. Amen.
So moving forward, I've got a little bit of good news, bad news here. We missed our window for real change. We made bad decisions in this past election. And I know a lot of people weren't yet picking up. Also, guys, we have this tendency in Martinsville, and you can see it in the mayor. I've picked on him a lot, but it's a good example. If someone does a Christmas parade or puts out the flags through Uptown, and they always have to let you know that they're doing it, and then when they're not doing that, they're doing things like signing contracts to give away your money. They're signing contracts that take away all of your rights to negotiate. I do have to mention, for this situation to give the mayor the unilateral right to negotiate a new contract for the city manager, that motion was made by Kathy Lawson and Rayshon Gravely. If you all were listening to anything I was saying running up to the campaign, this is exactly what I feared. And yeah, she's going to try to distance herself from that. It's on paper. Anyone who wants a copy of that, come get it. But be rest assured, there'll be flags coming back out, and you're going to know about it. And then here's the problem: is I don't think I want to get too much into more distant drama, but I'm going to mention this because it never came out. We referred Kathy Lawson for criminal prosecution. The mayor did. The mayor did. I did not have the law enforcement contacts to do that. I truly, in my heart of hearts, believed he saw what we went through to try and hold someone accountable, had been shadowing me for a year, writing legislation, going to Richmond, getting us money, growing this community, building partnerships, and saw how much work that was, and saw someone who was not going to work for the community, who can do any bad thing they want, and then if they just do a media stunt every once in a while, our community responds to that and says, oh, that's good enough.
Very true.
Right after that, we start seeing L.C. Jones all over Star News criticizing our police chief. The guy's on our chain of command. The police chief is awesome to work with. We can go rap on his door twice and say, hey, chief, got a problem. Let's talk to you. But that's not politically expedient. We need to get the miles out of it. We need to throw people under the bus for our own gain. The Northview Garden stuff, my God, has a group of people ever been more preyed upon? People showing up there when it's convenient. Probably never seen him before, and we'll never see him when he's out of office again. You don't need, I have done this with local institutions. I've had property management companies changed. You don't need to go out there and call Charles Rourke and run around on the phone like you're solving problems for these people. You can do it without the drama, and that's what professionals do.
Yes.
But they're just trying to get the mileage out of it. So, in 2 years, I hope that this is remembered. I hope that we elect professionals, and I have got to harp on that, and I promise I'm wrapping this up. This thing where we are confusing civil servants with community service is very confusing, and it's the wrong thing for us to be doing. These are different things. We need people who can read a spreadsheet. We need people who can read a contract. Why do you think we get in so many lawsuits if we don't have people who don't know how to read a contract? And then people just come in and take advantage of that. Only fools want to engage with fools or people looking to prey on fools. And that's why we've had so many interactions here where we're getting taken advantage of and seeing money removed from our community. We do not need people who are just going around doing media stunts, handing out waters. I bet nobody in here has the slightest clue what I do for charity, and you never will. You never will. That's not what this is about. It's the wrong way to think about this. I heard in a city council meeting, someone said the only time we see you in our churches is when you want our vote. And I looked at one person, I was like, yeah, this one person, that's true. I have a church.
Yep.
That's where I want to go to church.
Yep.
I'm not trying to run around and pretend like I'm your friend for 5 minutes so I can trick you into a vote. That's not what this is about, is me showing up at your church. I am going to read the contracts. I am not going to let you get your money taken away. I am going to speak up when someone does try to take your money away. Those are the people we need here. The one thing we do need to change, and boy is this going to get spicy, our city manager is not a professional. She is a problem. She is a big problem.
I'm down with that.
I don't know if any of you all noticed last night, she lied to you all twice in the span of just a few seconds. First of all, saying that she took a 30% pay cut to come to the city of Martinsville. Aretha Farrell Benavidez was terminated from her job, cited by that governing board for lack of confidence in her leadership. She was unemployed. She was unemployed. And I don't know if you guys can do math, but anything times 0 divided by 0 doesn't work out. There was no pay cut. And I don't know if you've looked at the history of her, and I'm going to talk about this because I'm not finger wagging here. I am to blame. I am to blame. Even if I wanted to run for office again, which I don't and never will, I feel like I've made myself unavailable to do it. I have made bad decisions here, and I'm going to own them, and I'm going to walk away. But that wasn't the only lie she told last night. She also said that no matter what we paid her, she was called here to serve and she was going to serve us. Lie. The entire predicate for this lady getting a pay raise is she's claiming she's interviewing for jobs and has prospects in other cities.
Correct.
And is using that.
Please hire her.
That, again, this talks to the competence of people. That is a common tactic in the business world. Hey, boss, I got this offer. Why do you think you need to up my pay or I'm going to leave? And if you have nobody up there who's ever managed people or knows how to manage personnel, you're going to fall for it. I also have grave concerns. Media, I want you to ask. I do not know. I want you all to ask. Was she in the room when these discussions were being had about her contract? That's a seriously concerning problem to me because I have a feeling she would have been, knowing how this government works. Then, who is this person to remove an elected official from office? So that you all know, she has to subscribe to a code of ethics with the City Managers Association. I don't think that they're going to look on this favorably, and I don't think she's going to be able to maintain any sort of credentials that she's got with them after this. Putting on the political display, wearing the matching outfits, her tenor last night, the lies, all of this stuff, ejecting an elected official from a meeting, I think she's going to have a really tough time operating in the city management world after this. And I actually think it's one of the greatest services that we can do, is to make the world aware of what's happening.
To say nothing of being so inconvenienced by the move that she had to buy a $500,000 house.
So I'm going to wrap this up with,
Woo-hoo.
so what's next steps? I'm going to keep doing what I try to do. I'm going to hope that this deters people from their worst instincts. I am going to try to clarify in the right way, quietly, that this pay raise negotiation thing is not happening. We need to sit down and talk about the brutal tax increases people are looking at. I hate to be the person to deliver this news right now. We heard that the city manager is going to attempt to put an 8.5% increase cap on any tax raises related to your real estate values. I'm telling you all right now, that's not happening. That's $668,000. We've already blown that just on legal nonsense. So if she tries to do that, now I have to worry about what's hidden in here that I might sign off on and then have to answer for later. I'm very concerned about that. This is where these games lead. Where do you think this puts us in terms of trying to grow community standing, reputation, partners, investment? Reputation is everything.
100%.
And I have heard this when you all might have noticed. First of all, I don't do this. I'm not getting into social media fights. I'm not doing he said, she said. Did anybody notice that when the mayor put out his Facebook stuff on me that I did not respond?
Took the high road. It's beneath
No,
your dignity.
No, I did not. I was holding my breath, pleading, begging God that people at the state level would not hear about this because it would ruin all those partnerships we built. We just got a $2.8 million grant to do a building down here, which was incredibly competitive. That was not on the table for Martinsville before this council, and it will not be on the council. It will not be on the table for the immediate future because we are a sketchy place now. We show off a whole lot of ugly, and we could spend a whole separate press conference here talking about that. What does it look like when the mayor of our city calls people, and it's all recorded, calls people into a community meeting and starts saying things like, based on skin color, by the way, like, are we a community or not? Are we just a group of people? But based on this that none of us chose, we're all actually completely different? Yeah. How stupid. It has always been one of the stupidest things about humanity, that because of this, something's different. It's always been stupid. But this guy pulling people into a room saying things like, we have the power now, we have the numbers, and then having the nerve to call for a community meeting of unity, hosted by a pastor you called a liar in a public meeting? Like, come on, dude. How many people are you going to turn on? How many times are you going to get us in the news? Look, I'm going to part with this. Final words, I promise you all. When someone from Richmond, who is a tenured legislator, and I asked him, dude, how do you know so much about Martinsville? He said, Aaron, I don't want to upset you, but Martinsville is Virginia's Jersey Shore. I was a little bit too young to understand that. I had to go Google it. What, does anyone want to come work with us in those situations?
Are you going to file for your civil rights violation?
I don't. It's a bad idea to use that as a pronouncement or threat, so I'm not going to answer that right now. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to turn it over to Julian. I will come back for questions, absolutely.
Can you take them now?
Let's let Julian go.
Can I use your pen?
Yeah.
When is the audit coming out?
We don't know yet.
We'll find out.
That's part of the problem.
Well, let's get it done.
All right.
Audit.
Thank you, Aaron.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here.
Wow, it's going to be tough to top him. Holy cannoli. I'm not as exciting as Aaron. I'm not really good off the cuff. I am half Italian, and I can go on a tangent sometimes. And if you give me an inch, I might go a mile, so I'm going to stick to my prepared words.
Tell the TV audience who you are.
I'm Julian May. I am a Martinsville City Councilman, and I'm just going to leave it to that. My business and professional role is separate from what I have to say today, though somewhat tied, because I've worked for, I don't know, my mother's here. She raised me to be everything that I am, both in business and in my character and integrity. Today is maybe almost 10 years we've been working on our Move to Martinsville campaign to get citizens to move here from other localities to believe in the promise that we have here in our future. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I've lost count. People who've come to join us and make us, our community, theirs. And we welcome more, and we want more, and we want more, and we want more. So, you know, there's an organization out there called Move to Martinsville. I'm not directly affiliated with it, but they do great work. I have a little hashtag I started, hashtag Move to Martinsville. Share it. If I share real estate or I share something about the city, hashtag Move to Martinsville. Drown out the negative with the good. Social media and algorithms out there, they pick up this stuff. When you Google Martinsville right now or Martinsville City Council, all this nonsense is showing up. I want to flood the news, flood Google, algorithms, social media with everything we have here, with our businesses, our local businesses, our gym that's across the street. We have people here right now supporting all of our local uptown businesses, which, by the way, should be advertised and supported fairly and equitably by this administration. So, I do want to clarify something that Aaron said, and I don't want to I actually shouldn't get into closed session discussion. I actually really value that, but I will say this. I came out of the closed session feeling a bit uncomfortable, and it was actually my suggestion that we go ahead and just give LC the authority to do this, because I'm in a minority vote with Aaron. And because of his absence, because of his family and his desire to start earning a living again, he didn't say this because he's too humble about it, but he took, what was it, a year and a half, almost 2 years of his earning life in the prime of his life to serve this community. People may not always agree with his attitude and how he takes charge and whatever, but he made the effort. An effort that cannot be said about many people in Martinsville who whine and complain, want change, but never stand up and do anything about it. You don't have to run for office. I have an anxiety disorder, for heaven's sakes. This is terrifying for me. But this is my home. And when you believe in your home and you believe in things that you care about, you just gotta, I'm learning a little late in the game. You gotta man up. Pull you up by your bootstraps. I was quaking driving over here. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Well, fortunately, because I do go on tangents, I prepared a statement, which I'm going to stick to. But before I do that, I just want to say, I was the one who actually suggested, give it to LC. Let him negotiate it, whatever. And this, by the way, was when we had come out of closed session and into public session, a matter that LC was not truthful about in his Enterprise article. So I knew they were going to do it anyway. Negotiate a contract, but here's how it works. Do all your negotiations. Have your chit-chats. Work it out. But you must bring the contract to council for approval.
Amen.
Yay or nay. Amen. And I was reserving my choice in that regard till later. So I just want to clear that up. All right, I'm going to go to my prepared statement now, so hold on. Let me get my realtor voice. Good afternoon. No, I'm just joking. I want to thank everyone who chose to come and attend with us today. I have a prepared statement that I'm reading, but I first want to preface all of this by stating that I make it in support of my home and every citizen in it. While we have great things happening in our city to celebrate, we also face great challenges. While I have little desire to add to those, I wish to begin this statement with the following quote from the philosopher Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. During council comments in our March 25th, 2025 City Council meeting, one of our elected officials, Aaron Rawls, was forcibly removed from council chambers in City Hall by a sheriff's deputy, and after direct instruction to the deputy by city manager, who also, you may not know, also holds the role of city clerk, Aretha Farrell Benavides. While Mr. Rawls was speaking, I heard Vice Mayor Kathy Lawson twice whisper to Mayor Jones that Rawls was out of order. That's one thing I've noticed in this administration, by the way. They are nice to you, they're kind to you, but then they get they ingratiate themselves with you by leaning in and whispering things. Oh, this is a great thing, but I don't know if we should support it. Things like that. Note that kinds of behaviors when you talk to certain people in the future. Mayor Jones then slammed his gavel multiple times, stating, "Fallen order." Fallen order? That phrase is more often used in a military context rather than the business of a public body. At the time, because I was so thrown by this occurring, I didn't realize the directive that was given to the bailiff. In recently resurfaced video footage from the gallery, it clearly shows that Aretha Farrell Benavides nodded her head to the deputy to remove Mr. Rawls from his elected seat of office, and she did it within less than 3 seconds. This was not her triggering her deputy instinct. I believe personally, well, she may have. I don't know. I don't want to throw her under the bus. I like this woman. I'll be frank. Reva has been more than kind to me since I came here, and she may have felt conflicted. But
We hope so.
I hope so. I'm just going to put it that way. Anyway, all right. Be under no illusions about precisely what occurred that evening. While making statements during his allotted time, a sitting member of office who you elected, maybe not all of you, but some of you, was removed from his elected seat, and physical intimidation was used to eject him from the people's chamber, your chamber. I cannot think of a more disturbing experience occurring in the history of Martinsville, maybe the Commonwealth itself, and I lived in Manhattan for a decade. Aaron's rights of speech under the First Amendment have been 100% violated. Under a perceived and arguably apparent threat of force, and this absolutely cannot stand. This cannot stand.
First Amendment violation.
He was not violent, and even if his statement caused offense or included personal attacks, get over it. His right of free speech is protected by the U.S. Constitution. I want to add another note I don't know who this quote is attributed to, but I hear it often because I'm a nerd and all I do is read. Freedom of speech means nothing unless it also includes the right to offend. You hear often personal attacks. We're people. That is enshrined in our Constitution, which overrides our city charter and also our recently adopted, very verbose, I might add, rules of council, which I agreed to adopt because at first I thought they might be okay, and now I'm wondering if that was the right move because it seems like they may have been used as grounds to justify ejecting Aaron from office. I won't be surprised if people are going to cite it. Well, in the recently adopted rules of council, blah, 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 blah. All right. I mean, I hear this all the time in this building. I can't tell you. I mean, it's unbelievable. Regardless of the personal and professional attacks of disrespect directed toward me, by the way, I asked for my city pin that I lost at our council retreat, which was held outside of Martinsville, which I, in emails, requested would be in Martinsville. And we had to, the first suggestion was to have it at a relatively posh hotel in Lynchburg with an overnight stay. You can look at, I'll send you the emails, and I vocally, loudly oppose this. Because when we're all facing this taxation, when you're all facing increased electric bills, what kind of look would that be for all of us to just run on off to some cute hotel in Lynchburg for an overnight stay and, you know, have catering, probably coming from some dubious business in uptown Martinsville, and then, you know, come back to Martinsville? Well, what did y'all talk about? Well, it was a close thing. I don't know what we can tell you about. I mean, I'm done. Enough. I'm tired of this nonsense. All right. Regardless of the person. Oh, by the way, about my pen. I requested last Wednesday a replacement pen. Wasn't responded to until, I don't know, Monday, after I had to email Human Resources because someone else told me they'd probably have a copy. And then all of a sudden, oh, Julian, we're going to work to get you a pen. But that was because I think everyone knew the setup was coming. And I think some people might have worried this is going to happen as a result of it. So anyway, all right. Regardless of the personal and professional attacks of disrespect directed toward me by this administration, I've been patient and accommodating in the last 3 months since I took office. I've done this so that we could instill public trust with our citizens, follow my conscience, and also to function as a unified body, because I may not agree with them about everything, but it's a good look for Martinsville if we can all be on the same page. That said, when a government silences elected officials and citizens by physical force, that's where I draw the line. I'm done. From what I'm hearing and from people watching from within and without, thank you. From what I'm hearing and from people watching from within, and by the way, from without, had some interesting calls from attorneys, by the way, advocating for Aaron. It seems we're all far from alone in our concern about this. All right, I want to bring it back to the point, my ultimate point about my pride for Martinsville. We have absolutely no time to waste any longer with delays to our prospering as a community. And I have absolutely reached the end of my tether with this nonsense. We have so much within our grasp, we just need to reach out and take it. It's all right here, under our feet. We have the most beautiful city in many places I've ever lived. And I lived in Nantucket. And living in Nantucket was, anyway, all right. This can be done, but it's going to require equitable partnerships among community members, shared visions among all of us, and welcoming an open participation. Not closed doors, not the old buddy system. By the way, not the new buddy system that's forming.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, all of us, black, white, male, female, gay, lesbian, everyone, everybody, every single person. Christian, Baptist, all of us, every single person, we've all got to be part of this together. It's also going to require accountability. Free speech and the right of free assembly are the foundational roots and principles of our republic for which we all stand. Any violation of this God-given right will not stand on my watch, and any who engage in the practice will be subject to the will of the person and the people whose rights were offended. And that was y'all, not just Aaron, y'all.
Amen.
I want to close my remarks and tone it down a bit because I'm hot by quoting one of the more eloquent speakers at our recent council meeting. This was lost in the noise a bit, I'm afraid. A well-respected and retired educator, a lady named Jean Hairston, bravely came before council and humbled all of us with the reminder, and I love that she said this, that we are a city without limits, not a limited city. From what I've been told from people, because I've never met Jean, Jean is a 62-year-old property owner and resident of Martinsville, originally from Chicago. She moved here because her husband, a Martinsville native, loved his home. She came here with him to the home he loved, fell in love with it herself, as so many of you have, and raised a family and became a well-respected member of our community. I want to see more people like Jean Hairston in Martinsville, moving to Martinsville, and get involved in Martinsville. I want to see the sentiments she expressed be the guiding framework for how we conduct our business and how we project ourselves to not only our citizens within this city and to those viewing us from afar, and while I don't have them, also to our young people who are looking to us to set an example. In short, just be like Jean. Be like Jean. I'll carry her words with me for many years to come and always focus on making Martinsville a community worth living in, a city that is truly without limits, and one where all are freely welcome to speak their minds, live their lives, and join in a spirit of optimism and hope about our shared future. I want to thank everybody for your attendance, for your patience listening in me, and for your continued support of the city of Martinsville, the home we all love so much. Thank you.
Oh, I think what she said at the city council meeting this week was, it was a high road, and it made me so proud to hear you say it. Thank you. And I'm a stranger to you, and you know who I am.
So Aaron,
Thank
as
you,
a
sir.
as a
The
human
strangers
being,
that
how
come
did it
to
make you
and say
feel
that,
to be
you
thrown
are
out
on
of
the
the
track.
city?
Thank you, buddy.
I was stunned. I didn't have any, I'm gonna be very clear. I am no victim. I'm never gonna play to be one. This stuff happens. I'm not weak. So I knew this job was gonna be hard. It was hard for none of the reasons I ever expected it to be. You all may remember, for a solid year there, Martinsville was doing nothing but going up, up, up. I don't know what happened to, I don't know if it's
It'll
someone.
come back again.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter why. But I was stunned. First of all, one of the reasons why I get so upset about the mayor not coming to meetings in a proper state, slurring words, not learning the rules. When I call him out on that, it's not to be mean. How many years do you need to sit down and read a piece of paper front to back? So one of the things that upset me, and this is why the rules are so important, he was giving a rule to me that does not exist. It is not in any procedural orders.
We will not. So you did not understand?
I didn't. I could not between the slurring and the command. It didn't even make sense. I Googled it, and it doesn't even come up as anything. So I was truly stunned. I could not. It was stun upon stun. I couldn't understand what he was saying. We had people heckling. He wasn't gaveling them down. A deputy touched me, and
Multiple
for,
times.
for talking about someone's pay raise. Which, hello, that's my employee. I get to talk about how much they get paid and where your money goes. That is literally my job. So I was stunned. Looking back on it, I have to do what I have to do because I can't let it stand, and I can't let people in the future get subjected to the same treatment. It was wrong. It was a civil rights violation. I've got some bombastic people who I think are going to take this effort for us, and it'll be big news. And the best part of it is not just that we're going to protect the people in this community from this in the future, it's that these bad people, they're not going to be able to escape this record. It's going to follow them around everywhere as it should. For way too long, we cover this stuff up in Martinsville. And it's not just government, it's also nonprofits. I don't know if you all know, two very high profile nonprofits have seen their directors turn over due to allegations of embezzlement, fraud, theft. We have that allegation in our schools, by the way. Something that never came out, that we had two people, I believe, terminated for embezzlement. And I'm sitting here waiting, where's the investigation? Where are the charges? How do I know you got them all? How do I know it's not people higher up? How do I know? Like, this is why we have to do things the right way. I know you don't want the drama of the charges in the court cases. I know it doesn't make the institution look good, but it looks like you're covering it up if you don't do it, and we don't know if we got everyone who is doing it.
Before being ejected, were you given a warning?
No,
No, I don't think so.
a gavel slam.
Aaron, you said criminal activity. What kind of criminal activity are you talking about?
Can you refresh my memory?
You think you said what they've done is criminal.
Well, yeah, first of all, putting hands on me. But second of all, yeah, you can't eject an elected official like that. There are procedures for it. No matter what they cite, allowing a clerk to keep order is not the same thing as saying clerk can eject her boss and a sitting member of the governing body.
Correct.
If you want to go deal with some people who are rowdy or talking while someone's trying to speak, sure, you can do that.
I mean,
But
with you two being her bosses,
Yeah.
why couldn't you tell her to leave?
So there's precedent for it. Excuse me, interrupting. I had a conversation with someone earlier. There may be precedent for removing someone from office for conduct, but it was not what happened the other night. Not by any shared stretch of the imagination. I don't want to say the name of the person who talked to me about this, but there might be a little bit of a.
But the city managers who got this done.
Go look at Go look at Caleb Robertson's
We
footage
saw it.
from
We
the
saw it.
gallery.
Showed last night.
Dismissed.
But-
What?
It's unlisted.
What do you mean?
I'm waiting to see how this press conference goes before it.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's unlisted now.
Okay.
But my
We have
point to y'all,
exclusive footage.
is that y'all are her bosses.
Well,
Why couldn't y'all ask her to leave?
what were we going to do? I mean, I would basically have to fight a deputy at that point. I don't think that's the way we wanted to do that.
What do you think would happen if you would stay there?
Well, she would have had to get help, obviously.
The deputy would have been forced to actually grab him. I mean, she already touched him multiple times,
Yeah.
escorting him out. You watched it. You have it all on film. Turned around to get Lacey, his partner, who never comes to council. She didn't even afford him that luxury of turning around and going to grab her, bring him to her, and take them out together. She kept doing this, shooing him away, shooing Caleb away, who was
She
trying to
also
talk to
asked
him.
you to get outside the building.
Get outside the building.
Right.
Public building that you all pay for. And we'll be paying a lot for in the coming months, by the way.
Because of stupidity in the past,
Yeah.
which has caused it to come into the state that it's in.
Why was
Your
it
Honor,
a
City
Martinsville
Manager
Sheriff's,
Pharrell
deputy
Benavides
instead of
talked
Martinsville
about
Police
her
Department?
salary.
Why wasn't it a
Yeah.
Martinsville Sheriff's deputy instead of police
Why
department?
was it a Martinsville Sheriff's instead of Martinsville Police Department?
Because as a result of something you're going to have to respect this. I can't go into closed session stuff.
Right.
Okay. But
When we gonna find out?
there is a former employee who is litigating against the city of Martinsville. There were some concerns made by some comments online from some associates, possibly of that person, I'm not sure. There were some security concerns. So we opted to move the table to the right, have them, Adina, Eric Payne, and others at times sit there, and to bring in a bailiff to sit there just in case it got out of control.
I want to add to that. I
And
also
they
wanna
put
make
a
sure you get your question.
strap in front of the podium to prohibit all of you from ever approaching us.
So I think that I don't want to dismiss
Like in Germany or something.
the concerns, but they did not want to afford. Everything this group has done has been to prevent criticism.
Correct.
They put the deputy there to intimidate people. When have you ever had to sign up to come speak to a city council meeting?
When have you
When has there been a buzzer?
when
has
have
there
you
been a
seen
buzzer?
the buzzer exercised
So and it's
on certain people
Yep.
who all seem to share something in common?
yeah.
by
So
the way.
the deputy thing, that's a convenient excuse for something they wanted to do anyway, which is deter criticism. And by the way, I know how much I picked on this guy, and I sure wish they would have talked to me sooner before I endorsed him, before I campaigned my butt off to help him win, before I really believed him in him, which I did. I did think at that time L.C. Jones was everything this city needed. It's the greatest tragedy of this whole thing that he never was that person, that he put on a suit to look like it. But now I have folks in Martinsville Police. I could not believe how many different places he worked. This is his MO. It's what he does. He plays a role. He's a double agent. He squeezes what he can out of you, and he goes and runs to exploit the next group that he told you is the group he hates the most in the world.
And he's
no
not
shame.
the only one.
Have you
You say
talked to
bad-
All right, Your
Sheriff
Honor.
Draper?
City Manager Pharrell Benavides says that she's underpaid in comparison to other city managers throughout the state.
Yeah.
She's making far less. Most are making over $200,000. She's not quite there yet. How would you respond to those comments?
Easy. Her predecessor made 120 or 130. Our max for this job was 150. We actually raised it for her on the premise that her experience working in other cities, her longtime tenure in city government, and her commitment to solve serious issues in this community would be worth the investment from citizen taxpayer money. And we did not get our investment. Also, those cities, people can do this thing both ways. We've had much larger cities where she is making more than they are.
Have you talked to Martinsville Sheriff Steve Draper?
Yeah, well, I gave him a heads up because I didn't want to ambush him that I'd have to deal with one of his deputies' behavior. The behavior was out of line.
What do y'all think should be done to her?
I'm concerned about anyone who wears the badge who can't follow the law, govern themselves, who was part of the scheme, who was in on it. If she really was completely, you're never going to convince me she did a head nod and was like, oh yeah, remove him from office. So she was in on it, and I had too many people on the record who saw her participating in the politics and the yeah. So I mean, look, she's shown she doesn't have the character for the job, in my opinion. Julian has a different opinion. That's fine. I'm not gonna stand my ground and demand someone lose their livelihood or make a huge scene out of it. But Sheriff Draper's a sheriff. He knows what responsibility comes with this job. He knows what he saw. She should not have a badge. That's my opinion.
Was a Martinsville City School Board member involved in getting people here?
Sorry?
How is it okay for you to come forward these people's characters during these meetings?
Who are you?
I've seen you do it 3 times.
Where?
I'm a member of this community.
Well, that's great.
Of the
Where have you seen it
Martinsville
3
City
times?
community. He did it with Jim Bowles. He did it with Ray
Who is
Sean
Jim
Graff.
Bowles?
Jennifer Bowles. He did it with Ray Sean Graff.
How did he assist?
He attacked that character, and before that he had a chance to do it in the last meeting, he was removed. Why is this a problem?
When did he attack people's character?
Let me speak.
Video. I'm just asking a question.
We
Why
sure
is it
can.
Okay to attack someone's character?
I'll own this. Also,
Still stay?
you should have shown up on time because you would have heard the answer to this.
Oh,
Exactly.
I was watching you, and
Okay.
I work, so I was watching.
So-
We all work, ma'am.
Yeah, let's just be
Are
clear.
you okay, sir?
I'm
Don't be
fine.
upset. I'm just asking a question.
Let's be
Don't
clear.
upset.
And
I'm
stop.
asking a question.
Don't do it.
Let's be clear. Let us respond.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this. Do you know how many times Rayshawn Gravely has been arrested for
I'm
domestic
very
violence?
aware. I'm aware.
Do you
And I'm
kn-
aware that he has a non-guilty verdict.
He does not have a non-guilty
He
verdict.
pled.
It is a plead
Yes,
down.
Same thing.
It is not the same.
Okay.
What's the problem though? If he's trying to make a change and be better, why are you down
Please,
in it?
please.
Why are you down in it? Instead of helping him be a better
This is
person
the
for this
top
community.
job in the community.
Do you know he was falsely accused?
Can we answer? He was
No,
falsely
if he's
accused?
coming at me, I'm gonna
The
say
woman sent me the photos. I have
Then
seen it.
do you know this day she
He-
still follows him in public places?
Back to
The
the
same
Okay,
subject.
back to business. Officers?
No, don't escort her away.
Well,
That's
no,
what-
I just want her quiet so
She's
we
just
can let
asking
people.
questions.
Yeah,
Ask the question.
but
It's
then
fine.
we can't answer
It's
them.
fine.
I'm waiting on your answer. Why is
I've
it
been
okay
trying.
to attack someone's character during these meetings?
Okay, so someone who has pled to felony strangulation, who beat a woman to the point of hospitalization,
That hit him
she was
first.
a,
That hit him first. Say that first. Say that too.
the true hallmark of a man. Wait until a woman hits you and then you hit them back.
No.
Then you put him in the hospital.
Stop.
But I have
That's
a
not what we're
son.
here
I
for.
have a son.
Okay.
If a woman constantly hits him, he has a right to defend himself, whether he pushes her away or walks away. He can defend himself.
Have you seen the
He gets
photos?
hit 10 to 15 times.
Have you seen the photos?
I've seen the photos. I've seen this.
He
girl
didn't push her.
accidentally around him.
This is not what we're here
Yeah,
for.
this is
But
distracting.
no, this is here to show you all's attitude towards common questions from the African American population.
You just come in and start
Don't
talking
treat us
over
in
people.
office. That's
And
all.
also, you don't speak
No,
for
you
black
don't.
people.
You don't speak
You
for
don't speak for
everybody.
black
I'm
people.
speaking for the community, and that's
No,
why I came
you
here.
aren't the community,
Good
lady.
to know.
I'm a part of it. I
So,
live here, I pay taxes,
let's-
I'm very much
Let's get another one because we just reintegrated this person into our government. Jennifer Bowles.
Yes, sir.
I campaigned. I knocked on almost every house, every
And then
door
we
on West
watched
End.
You publicly embarrass her on TV.
She embarrassed
We watched
herself.
you. No, you embarrassed her.
No, can I answer for the love of God? Can I please
You
answer?
haven't answered yet in the past 5 minutes.
Well, then why
Because
don't you
you
stop
keep-
talking
yeah,
so
stop
he can't
talking.
answer your
Stop talking.
questions.
This is the point. Look at your attitudes towards my
All right.
questions. You're hiding.
Can we move on to something productive?
So was
Yeah.
a Martinsville
Intimidate.
City?
She went for the thing. And,
Yeah.
Was
So,
a
Your
White
Honor, you don't,
privilege.
Yep.
Your Honor, you don't sound
School
like
board
you're
member-
excited about pressing any kind of charges. If that's the case, what do you?
I'm not speaking to that right now.
Would you like an
left.
apology or?
What is an apology worth from these people? What's it worth from them? I've been here for 2 years. There's been almost nothing sincere out of these people. And in fact, I've almost never heard anything earnest. So why would I trust that? And what does that solve? I'm not a politician, I'm a problem solver. It's the only reason I'm here. So no, I don't want this to just go away, and I also don't want it to be perpetual drama. I want the problems fixed. So that's my goal.
We keep hearing taxes is the big story.
Yeah.
Taxes going up.
It's the premise of the whole thing, right?
Right. We got assessments going on, and the taxpayers want zero neutral, but you say that's impossible, right?
With a real budget that doesn't have some kind of gamesmanship in it, no, that's not possible.
What's going to be realistic? What are we looking at?
Well, we haven't started any budget stuff, so we don't know.
I mean, that's what people are concerned about.
Well, here's what I do know is the 8.5% theoretical increase is $668,000, which I know is not sufficient for what we're doing right now.
How much do you think it needs to be?
I don't know. I just know that the number is larger than that. Just from the almost the legal stuff alone, I know that the number is larger than that. Remember too, we just settled a thing for $200,000. Again, another contract thing where we're negotiating someone's pay in bad faith. You all may remember this story. Also signed by Kathy Lawson. $200,000, $40 per household. What they tried to do was give someone retirement benefits who did not pay into them and who did not earn them, paid for exclusively by you all, by the citizens of Martinsville. I bet all of you have to pay for your retirement.
How many new employees have we hired?
I don't know if you know, Julian.
Salaries. I mean,
I
we're
have
watching
to
all this-
go back and look.
All these numbers, and it looks like a runaway train.
Well, I'd like to sit down and do the budget before I make any guesses about that. I do like to be fact-based. Yeah, we've hired a lot of new people, but also we've changed or removed some positions too. So I would want to be accurate and not say we hired 20 people when really it's a net change of 2 or something like that.
Well, y'all going to go in and fight to try to keep those rates down?
Yeah.
Both of you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I have already had to make decisions. Look, this is the job. You can't always complain about what the folks before you did. That's every single person coming into office. We got stuck with big electric increases like my first 30 days in office because someone didn't want to raise rates during campaign season. I don't like gamesmanship like that in local government. So I sucked it up and I voted for the rate increase because I can't bankrupt our electric fund. But this is now getting to a point where it's things that I did warn city administration about years ago, like a year ago. Some of these things I warned the city manager about like within 60 days of her being here, such as the condition of the municipal building, and we didn't act. So now it's coming due, and now I'm really starting to feel like I don't know how much of the onus I need to take for that, for having to accept a tax increase on our people. It's my job to do that. But I mean, I don't know what more I can do than what I have been doing in this regard to try and bring awareness and try to get decent decisions done. We seem to only ever want to focus on silliness and nonsense.
Aaron,
So-
just a clarifying question. You talked about executive pay. Is this just related to the city manager position, or are there pay increases proposed for other positions as well?
I am primarily looking at the city manager pay, and without getting into things that I think need to remain confidential, the tone deafness and the cruelty of paying someone who's already making $180-something thousand a large pay increase, while citizens are paying $900,000 power bills. While we have senior citizens emailing us or calling us saying, I now have $50 less than I need to just pay my actual paper bills every single month. I just think that's like the worst thing you can do to build trust with your community, to show respect for your community.
And there may be people on staff. I mean, we haven't seen the budget yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what the raises are going to be for staff across the board. We spent an evening with nearly a dozen water resources people for about 6 hours back in about 2 months ago when the water mains froze on Clark Road. We went out. They invited us to come see what they go through. It was 8 degrees. The water that was spraying out was freezing in my beard. And they work tirelessly for us. And I went on social media. I mean, I'm new to this, but I went on social media to thank them, and I listed them by name. I was sure to make sure that they all had gave me their names because I don't know all of them. But they worked tirelessly. I mean, they got the leak, they got it fixed. Then they had to run all over Druid Hills and parts of Forest Park to figure out which water fire hydrant had to be turned a certain degree to get equalization. Is that all documented somewhere? I hope it's all in people's memory. But they're a great team. You know what happened? The next day, or whatever day it was, my next council meeting, I was sort of criticized for doing that. That you shouldn't go meet with staff. You shouldn't talk to staff. You shouldn't publicly support them because it might look like you're biased if something ever happens in the future with particular.
So for the record,
It doesn't
for the
matter.
record, Religious Review, I have the exclusive video footage of the Benavidez head knife. It's now been unlisted. We also have exclusive from Chief Draper video and his comments on it. And so the reason we unlisted it is we wanted to see how this all played out. And then my question, Aaron, do you know Ms. Benavidez's husband, Ted?
No.
He actually operated on more than one occasion, a $1.9 billion budget. Do you think she's getting any advice from him? And I'd like to ask your experience as you talk about all the things that she doesn't know how to do. It could be that she's running into a roadblock, and LC could be a part of it. I don't know, but I'm saying she has a lot of experience, and Ted has a lot of experience. What's your experience?
My experience is your spouse bringing strength to the relationship and your career is a positive, so I wouldn't be upset about that.
I'm saying, what's your experience
Oh, I
when
don't-
we start having this
I don't
discussion?
know. The problem with the city manager, I don't think has ever been her base of knowledge or her credentials. It's her underlying character. It's things she focuses on.
Okay, can you be more specific about an underlying character? How long have you
Nope,
known her?
because the direction this is going, I've got to be able to. One thing I can claim is I've never gotten the city into a lawsuit. So far, everything I've told you, I have paper, I have records, it's on video, we have testimony. So no, I'm not going to really start going into private interactions. Also, I don't do he said, she said. If I got into the he said, she said, it would be so explosive. First of all, I don't know if anybody would believe it. It's so gross.
I wouldn't believe it right now just because you say you could get into it. And
No,
people
I'm not
will
going to.
believe it.
We need to wrap it
That's
up.
why
Yeah.
I have the
So-
exclusive on the head.
You do what you want to do with it. I don't do factions or alliances. So if you want to share it, share it. If you
Is
don't,
that an accusation?
no. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Yes,
you're not
ma'am.
using our footage.
Considering all that's transpired and the concerns that you have, how do you plan to move forward as a council as well?
With this group of people,
I'm still going to go to meetings. I'm
Yeah.
going to do the business of the people.
How
When
can-
I
have
get
they
the
kick you out
agenda,
again?
I go to a meeting.
Can they
I
kick you-
sit.
Can they kick you out again?
For what?
I mean, could they eject either one of you?
For what?
Well,
I don't know yet.
okay.
I mean, if you get an agenda and it says we have a closed session meeting at 5, I'll be there at 5. It's annoying with my work schedule. I have to work all day long, but this is what I signed up for. And then we have a work session at 6, which I would like them back in open council chambers, please. And then we have a regular business meeting at 7.
But this could happen
Second,
again, right?
this could happen again. What if you if you exercise your rights of free speech,
I don't
that
know.
you could be ejected? I would think after all of this, probably not. I would think some policies would be put into place. I don't want to say who it was, but someone told me that another locality's policy in regard to this is that if somebody is violating the charter or any established rules, a motion must be made. I'd have to go back and review this, but I just had this call right before I came in. Motion would have to be made, seconded, and approved by a majority of council to go into essentially a private session and discuss it and figure out what to do. I'd need to read up more on
If
it.
they eject Aaron again, will you speak out?
I will leave with him.
During the meeting.
If Aaron, LC, Rayshawn, Kathy, if anyone were ever physically ejected out of a room because they were just talking and speaking, I would leave with them in the future in solidarity. I did not know what to do. I was tripping up my words. I had a carefully prepared statement, and I was trying to be up there being Mr. Decorum. Because Aaron was ushered out the way he was so violently and cruelly, he is my friend, by the way. I was getting choked up, and I know some of your viewers laughed and made fun of me because I cried a little bit. But I'm an emotional person. I'm Italian, Charles. When I hear music, I see a Kodak commercial, I fall apart. I am going to support what's right. And I want to just say, because I do think we need to wrap it up. People need to get back to work, myself included. The lady that came here and spoke, and the reason why I got so hot about what she said, this repeated accusation of why are you being so personal? Why are you attacking someone's character? I don't think that Aaron, I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember anyone slaughtering someone's character or whatnot. These are facts. This is behavior. I've been witness to a lot of it. And regarding Mr. Gravely and whatever may or may not have happened, I think that collectively maybe we can just sort of put that issue aside.
Well, he implied that I was creating a faction.
Who?
no, I just said I wasn't going to barter with you for anything.
Did
It's
I
as simple.
barter?
No,
Have I bartered?
no. Heckle, accuse you, talk over you, say horrible things. She was too cowardly to just come out and say, you're a racist. That's what she wanted to say. She's too cowardly. And she also knew people would make fun of her for it because it was a stupid thing to allege. But that's what these people do. And I have noticed this a lot in this community. If you come with a good argument and decency and they know they can't beat you on the argument, that's what women like that do. People like that do. Well, we're just going
That's the underlying problem.
No, I don't. I think I am not going to blame the bad behavior of 3 people on any segment of any community. We need to call people out on this because it is ugly. That woman worked at the hospital. Now I have to wonder, what level of care, what is she doing? Like, that's how she conducts herself?
Well, to be fair, let me just say, she is a citizen. She had
Sure.
a full right to come and say what she had to say. And I'll be honest, I probably shouldn't have engaged with her. But again, I'm Italian. I get hot. So whatever. But
Could you tell me about
okay.
that trip to Lynchburg? Was that some kind of retreat with city?
yeah,
with
we
your
had
city
discussed
council?
having a council retreat. I know they do this customarily in the past to sort of set a strategic plan and so on and so forth. But I was hoping our retreat would be an opportunity for us to all sort of speak a little frankly and openly among one another, get some things out in the open. And that was about like 45 minutes to an hour of that at most. And then the rest was strategic planning. But I did not, I'm just weird about these kinds of things. I think if the citizens we represent them, and if we're going to meet, I think we should meet in the city. And I think we should keep our business in the city. And I didn't want to go to Lynchburg and support some hotel that I'm sure it's a great hotel, very nice. But why not go use NCI? They would have let us use it for free. Why not go use the museum? They probably would have done the same. Why couldn't we have just kept it local? And if the concern was, I've heard people say, well, you need to get out of town to get some perspective. I don't need to leave town to get some perspective. I'm not 5 years old. I can go over to another building and meet with people and talk to them, which I did through the whole retreat. And I just didn't think it was appropriate to go out of town to a hotel, which also at the time included an overnight stay proposal. I don't need to stay overnight in Richmond, any locality, to have some chat with my peers about our agenda for Martinsville. Now, when you have conferences out of town and things like that, sure, we'll go out of town. I have not been able to go to any of these because in addition to taking on this job, I also have a very demanding job and a family that I love and care about. And it's very difficult for me to leave town. So,
Your Honor, my last question. Could you talk about your relationship with the African American community? You alluded to it in your opening remarks. Mm-hmm. You have connections for that young lady who had those concerns.
Yeah. I'm very bad. I don't do skin color type stuff. It grosses me out. It always has. It's always just been people are people. It's not the same thing, and I know this. But anyone who's been an outsider, and when I was growing up, I was part of this generation that seems to have gotten somewhat lost. You can be a young child and hear a statement like, what matters about a person is the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And no matter who you are, you could appreciate that because there's many different dimensions across which people can be hated, picked on, discriminated against. So just all through my life, that was always embedded in my value system. And it's why, I do have a multiracial family, but it's never been a topic of discussion. Nobody cares. We don't care. That's the least interesting thing there is about anybody. One thing I will say about the older black community in Martinsville is it's the most informed group of people. It's the most civically oriented group of people. If you want to go talk issues, that's the group to speak with. It is also the most lauded and legendary in terms of community impact. Julian mentioned Jean Harrison, Ruby Fontaine, Naomi Hodge-Muse. I know how divisive she has been to people. I love her with all of my heart. That is a strong woman. That's a strong woman. I respect strength. My circle has always been quite large and quite expansive, and I don't go to one community with one message and then to another community to a different. And here's a great thing to do is, I don't like to get into the mud, you all, but I do like to point out the character. That woman mentioned Jennifer Bowles. I knocked on every door on West End, which is it's largely a black minority community. She was running around telling folks that she was fighting against reversion, that she was fighting to save their schools, when she was then coming over here in this part of the community and doing the exact opposite. She was going and giving speeches supporting reversion. She was working with attorneys behind the scenes. So she's out there lying to different elements of the community. She already had the opportunity for this community to trust her and represent her. Instead, she chose to represent herself. And if any of you all have heard these talks now about Martinsville getting a new gym, and if you're worried about how we're going to pay for it, which I know a lot of people are because I've heard that, there's no gym coming here anytime soon. We had a chance to get a gym. It's under those people that we lost that chance. Martinsville has the only distinction of rejecting school construction funding from the state of Virginia. Do you know why we rejected it? Because it would hurt our chances of getting reversion done. It wasn't about the kids, is the quote. So yeah, I have a problem with Jennifer Bowles' character because she goes and lies on the record, and I have to run all the way through that community. Here she's telling everybody all sorts of different things.
Can we circle back to LC Jones Community Service?
if I feel like I can speak to it.
Okay.
My hands are about
His
as muddy as I want to
community
get them.
service, He may have learned from Danny Turner. Danny Turner is legendary for his community service. So what if he's basically following the lead of a very, very seasoned politician in this town, and you're basically saying that you wouldn't say that about Danny Turner, that he's actually trying to get recognition and whatever for going out and doing community service?
Yes, I would.
You would?
Yeah. Well, but all politicians do that.
Danny Turner. Most of the time, nobody knows what Danny Turner has really done.
Right, well, almost every politician does that, though.
Okay,
So I mean, it's
you want to clarify? Is
yeah.
Danny Turner doing it for attention?
it's just what politicians do. You have to have a
You
community
don't want to
presence.
clarify.
Yeah.
So Elsie Jones could be following the lead of a senior politician in this area who is legendary for that very thing.
I think he's following the example of another person in particular, but yeah, I think the premise of what you're saying is accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
Taylor, do you have a question about the video?
Yeah, I would like to note the audience here today, the people that were in the room. How did I have the foresight to record that council from the audience? Is because I have been kicked out of churches by clergymen like J.C. Richardson, Charles Whitfield, and Avery Preston, and Greg Hodges. That is exactly how I knew that that was coming. If you stir the pot, the clergymen are going to put their claws into anybody with power, and if there's money on the table, the clergymen are going to show up. The local clergy is corrupt. If we talk about all this is corrupt, Episcopalians have kicked me out of their building too. That's how I knew to have my camera going.
All right. That's a little bit separate from our thing, just to be
Well,
clear.
Not really, because the reason I got an exclusive from the sheriff
Yeah.
is because I have a stack this thick of no trespassing orders that his deputies have had to come around because we've been kicked out of all these
Yeah,
churches.
I'm hearing
He's
you.
friendly with me. He gave me the exclusive.
I'm hearing you. I just don't want to get into this whole. That's a separate press conference for you guys to do.
Well, did
Okay.
you oppose the clergy coming in and getting used the logo and all that?
Using the logo? No, they should not have done that.
Did
But
you oppose it?
did I oppose it? Yes. Yeah.
We gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
I do have to get back.
We do. I can talk to you about it after. We got to go.
Any final word? Any question that we missed?
I
Any
just
final
want to
word?
thank everybody for being here. I hope you all will call me or email, text, message with any questions. Thank you all. Yes.
Thank you
absolutely.
all so much.
Bye,
Appreciate
you
it.
all. Thank you.